Welcome, everybody. Beer Guys Radio Show. Thanks for coming and hanging out with us. We greatly appreciate it. Have a beer, have some conversation, share some beer news. It's gonna be a good time. That's all there is to it. Nate just got back from a hunting trip, as we can all see there. So
I can't see him at all. At least half
Or
his
is he?
body is
It's a
completely
floating
missing.
head.
Just a floating head, yeah.
Do you do a lot of camo, Nate? I've never seen you in it before, so I assume the answer there is no.
No, I don't.
Yeah, some people wear it as it's just part of the wardrobe, you know. So when I lived in Arkansas, it was very popular. No matter what time of year, a lot of guys had, you know, camo jackets, pants, everything, and it was kind of a uniform over there.
For a period of time when I was in college, I think it was popular to go to an Army surplus store and grab some random like jacket or something from it and run around wearing that. So for a little while, I had one and it was dumb, but you know, whatever.
I had a green Army jacket that was part of my uniform when I was younger and in my skate punk days. And I had, you know, back when you pegged your jeans, tight rolled pegged, whatever your generation calls it, and then I'd have my skater t-shirts on, my Pal Peralta Bones Brigade shirts, my Vision Streetwear, and then my Army jacket. It was the uniform or combat boots, either the Vision Streetwear or combat boots. Because that I'm imagining that same time, Brian, that the jackets were cool. Combat boots were also go to the Army Navy surplus store and get your combat boots. Rock
in the
on.
Northwest, everybody was wearing Doc Martens, which are kind of fashionable looking.
Yeah,
not really combat, but they kind of look like you're getting.
They do
with those, so
they do. Yeah. So, Stephen Pete, good to see you, man. Nate, you got a welcome back there. Congrats.
Thank you, Stephen Pete.
Somebody missed you there. That's cool.
That's right.
So,
somebody did.
We are going to jump into the show here. If you have any comments or questions, let us know what you're drinking. Any of that stuff, put it in the chat. We'd love to hear from you. With that said, here we go. Welcome, everybody, to the Beer Guys Radio Show. Thanks for hanging out with us to share a beer and some conversation. Hear the latest and greatest in the craft beer world, because that's what we're about. Absolutely. I am Tim Dennis. Brian Hewitt, how's it going?
It's going well, and being Brian Hewitt is what I'm all about. And also
Absolutely.
Beer news, but yeah. How's it going, Tim?
You know, I'm doing okay. I'm doing okay here. We've got some cold temps.
I knew you were going there.
Atlanta this week, and that makes me irritable. I don't like the cold weather. I like the food and the fire, you know, fire pits and all that, and the beers that go along with the cold weather. I just don't like the cold weather that you have to endure to enjoy all of that. So I'll make it through it, though. I've done it many times before.
Thoughts and prayers, Tim.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Nate, how you doing? Welcome back.
Yep, doing well. Thanks for the birthday break. Happy to be back. Very excited for the cold temperatures, much to Tim's chagrin. But, you know, I'm here for all of it. So I'm excited.
I am here for it. Good stuff. You know, for those watching the live stream, because I don't know if you hear this or if you get it as soon as the show drops, you may know, but we do have our pinball tournament at Schoolhouse Brewing in Marietta, Georgia. That is this Saturday, which would be October 19th. The tournament kicks off at 2 p.m. We'll have the pinball tournament. We are releasing a collaboration beer with Schoolhouse. We did a fest beer, and that will be available on draft and in cans. I also found out today it's actually going out to some of our Taco Max. So I found out, some of it will be out at the Taco Max, and we're going to do some raffles there, have some pretty cool prizes that were donated. So Yeti cooler. I'm giving away a Yeti cooler, or we are giving away a Yeti cooler, some Bose earbuds, and this dual set of wireless meat thermometers for those of you that like to smoke pork butts and the like. Then you can do it from the comfort, put it on the smoker, stick one of those in, and watch the temp on your phone for when you need to go mess with it. So if you're around, you don't have to play pinball. There's beer and raffles and all kinds of other stuff there too. So come hang out with us. We'd love to see you. And all of these efforts are to benefit St. Jude. So it is also for a good cause outside of being just plain awesome and filled with beer and pinball.
Yeah, it sounds great.
Yeah,
we'll be there too.
We will be there. We'll be there. Absolutely. Well, guys, let's talk about some beers of the week. Brian, what do you got on deck?
Well, I pre-gamed with Best Day Brewing's Nature's Pills. That's a non-alcoholic beer. It's made with Bavarian lager yeast and Hellertau Mittelfrüh hops, and it was solid. It was good. And up next, I'm opening right now, is a
I
Creature
heard it.
Comforts Classic City Lager. It's a gold medal winner at GABF this year for American Pilsner. So I'm going to drink some gold medal winning Pilsner throughout the show. I got a stovepipe for those of you that can't see this, but and after that, I've got some Asheville Love for Highwire, their double high pitch IPA, which is a DIPA, and I'm going to get into that at some point. Maybe after the show, maybe if I drink this lager really fast, and I might, I'll get into it during the show. We'll see. How about you, Mike Nate? What are you drinking?
Yeah, so I went to my local beer shop and I picked up a fresh can of WeldWorks Double Dry Hop Juicy Bits. This is just a beer that Juicy Bits is a beer that I really enjoy. So seeing the Double Dry Hop variant was something that I was excited to try out, and I am enjoying the heck out of it. And then for dessert from Great Lakes Brewing, I've got their Edmund Fitzgerald Porter.
Very nice.
Another good one. Did you pick that up locally, Nate?
The Edmund, no, I picked that up
Okay.
in Ohio.
Okay, I was going to say, I didn't think they came around here yet, because that's one we had Great Lakes on the show a while back, and they did send us some brews, but old Eddie Fitzgerald there was not part of that. It's a great song, too. A great
Yeah.
Nate, do you know the song Edmund Fitzgerald?
I've heard the song, but I don't know it well enough to be able to recite any
So
any
if
of the
we
lyrics.
broke into song right here, you wouldn't be able to sing the whole thing with us?
I know
No,
that he's
unfortunately,
heard
I
it. I
cannot.
know we played it in the studio multiple
Yeah,
times.
we would have
so
had to have
for
played it there,
sure.
for sure.
Yeah.
I
just hope with all of the breweries that have been downsizing and shrinking and the sales not doing so well with craft beer that the Great Lakes still plans on coming to our state. I hope they do expand to our
one
state.
day. One day.
I worry about that now. There are a lot of beers out there that I hope will make it here, but when I see things kind of going downhill a bit, I'm concerned. Like, dang it. I hope
Yeah,
those get
it's
here.
tough, man. It's tough. That's the folks that were partnering with Schoolhouse Brewing for our pinball tournament. They had 2 locations in Georgia, and they announced today, one of their locations is closing. And fortunately, they did. I talked to Thomas over there today, and gave my condolences, and he was talking about it's tough, when it's your child to know when to. We got a little Kenny Rogers on it, know when to hold them, know when to fold them. But he did say that is the location we're doing the pinball tournament at in Marietta. He said it's doing really well, and just he had to make a Sophie's choice there, let one child go to save the other, kind of thing. And imagine there's a lot of folks in that. We saw Highwire Brewing is closing their Birmingham location, so happens to a lot of them. But my beer of the week, since you guys didn't ask, I'm just going to go with it.
I was going to.
I know we would have got there. But I have a GABF medal winner. I'm going NA today with a Best Day Brewing Kolsch, which won bronze at the Great American Beer Festival. And this is really tasty. This is nice. And shout out to Best Day Brewing. They actually sent us a pretty nice sample pack of their beers with I think 4 or 5 different variants that they sent to us. So
yeah,
they've got a lime Pilsner that I think I may have one of those. No, I thought I had one maybe on the desk here because I was considering having that. But then went with the Kolsch. But yeah, so thanks, Best Day. We appreciate you hooking us up. Good stuff, Brian. Our beers of the week are a little thematic on some of our topics. We talked to you last week. GABF happened last weekend, and of course we've got some stats on that. Brian, I think you did all the hard work of digging up facts and figures and information there. So let's recap the Great American Beer Festival.
Yeah. So it was the 42nd year of the Great American Beer Festival, but only the 38th year of the annual competition. So I guess they started it a few years later after the festival been going for a bit. This year, the Brewers Association awarded 326 medals to 273 competitors. 327 total awards were available. That's one less than what were actually awarded. But the bronze medal was not awarded for the amber to dark non-alcoholic beer category. So apparently there was a gold, there was a silver, but there wasn't anything that was up to par for the bronze category. So they didn't give one out. Or maybe there just weren't enough in that category. I don't know which.
So interesting comment on that, Brian. I wonder if there was a shift in what they did, if it was truly, the gold and silver worthy, because was it GABF or World Beer Cup a couple years ago that Allagash's White took silver,
Yes,
and even insult to injury, they didn't award a gold.
that's
So
right.
I think if there had been other beers in the category, it would have been less of a punch to get silver than to get a silver and there be no gold. So I
Yeah.
wonder if they shifted a little bit there.
Yeah, I don't know. So I was thinking it's like, well, there was just nothing good enough to make bronze. I'm like, well, okay, so they did award gold and silver. So those got awarded, but
Yeah,
either there was nobody else after gold and silver and there were only 2 entries and they were both
maybe
good
this
enough,
is it.
or there were a bunch of others and none of them were like they tasted all of them like these. We don't like any of these. We're not giving awards to these. And you know what? Fair enough. If
Sure.
a bunch came through and they were bad, but there were 2 really good ones, award the 2 good ones, ignore the rest. I mean, that's kind of how it goes, you know?
Man, isn't that something though, at that level of competition that you get however many entries, who knows, but to say, no, we don't have anybody here worthy of this other spot. But good on the judges for doing
Yeah.
that if necessary. So,
Yeah, and there is people have mentioned that they don't submit because there is a delay in time for sending it. You can't be sure of how your product's being kept and what
yeah.
the condition it's going to be in. So you really don't know. And so it may not even be all on the beer, but for whatever, the judges didn't drink anything they thought was worthy. So, and they made the right call probably.
Of course. And when we went out to GABF, we were talking to several of the brewers out there, and when we were out, it was either 2016 or 2017, but the height of the wild beer craze, and we talked to some of the brewers out there that were saying it can be very tricky with your beer if you don't brew it directly to a style. And we know a lot of the American brewers do that. Even within IPA, there's a lot of categories and subcategories. And
Yeah.
if you don't decide exactly right where it needs to go, we talked about homebrewing our Saison, and we did a peach version of that. Do you enter it in the Saison category? Do you enter it in the fruit beer category? And, maybe it would do better in one than the other, but you can't be sure. So it's a little bit of roll of the dice unless you're brewing directly to the style there.
That is true, and yeah, for sure. So anyway, getting on with it, this year's competition was hosted in partnership with the American Cider Association, which means they also included 5 new cider categories for the first time ever. In addition to the 5 new cider categories, medals were awarded for 102 beer categories with 170 subcategories. So that's a lot of ways to categorize your beer. 285 judges spent 7 days judging 8,836 commercial beer entries, 233 commercial cider entries, 95 collaboration entries, and 52 Pro-Am entries. And I forget what the Pro-Am is. I think that might be homebrewers mixed with professional guys doing something. I don't recall exactly how that breaks
I think
out.
that's by definition pretty much the way it works. You probably have
Yeah.
home brewers that get with the professional brewers and
I think so. Yeah.
make some beer, unless they redefine Pro-Am for GABF.
Yeah. I don't know anything about anything Pro-Am. So anyway, that must be clear at this point. All 50
You know,
states.
it's professional and amateur. That's what Pro-Am
Is that what that
short
means? I
for.
didn't know
Yeah.
this. I knew
Okay.
there used to be racing games that were Pro-Am, and I didn't know what the heck
Professional
Pro-Am
and
means.
amateur. There you go, man. You're getting some. Even
Yeah.
you are educated on our show,
I
Brian.
guess so.
We
I
all
just
learn.
I just thought like Pro-Am maybe like professional American. I have no idea what
We're
what
all
that means.
professional
Yeah,
Americans.
exactly.
So,
So anyway, 50 states were represented as well as Washington, D.C. and Puerto Rico. The most popular beer categories this year were juicy and hazy IPAs with 349 entries, West Coast IPA with 292 entries, American style IPA with 217 entries, Dortmunder or German style Oktoberfest with 210 entries, and German style Marzen with 195 entries. So it was pretty much a sweep of IPAs and Oktoberfest beers, which is interesting. I think in previous years, lagers have placed a little bit better in this or started to creep up, but we're not seeing that this time.
I thought that I had heard during the competition that they mentioned one of the lager categories was like the second or something, but maybe I am mistaken. It's very possible.
That's what's being reported. So
Okay, gotcha. All right.
Two breweries tied for the most medals won at this year's competition. Both won 4. Highland Park Brewing and Apogee Brewing, both from California. Highland Park Brewery, all their medals were gold, which is really impressive.
Wow,
And they got
okay.
one for American Style India Pale Ale, which is one of the most popular categories. Apogee had 1 gold for specialty saison, so I'm interested in that, and 3 bronzes. And another thing that I noticed when I was looking through all the stuff and crunching all the numbers is that Left Hand's Oktoberfest Marzen won bronze. Did you guys see the Left Hand Oktoberfest Marzen? Did you try that? Because now I want to try that.
I did not. I have not had that one this year.
All right, neither have I. But to be fair, I have not been looking for it.
Yeah, I think when we did the show, I was looking pretty thoroughly for all the available options, and I don't think I ever saw one for Left Hand, but who knows? Maybe it was really good and people knew about it and it sold out early. It's hard to tell. So
yeah, I didn't see it. That I recall, I didn't see it either when we were looking. And I think at one point, Brian, you and I went out and we pretty much got everything we could get our hands on. So we did a pretty good run through of it.
Yeah, I don't think we left no Oktoberfest unturned.
And a quick nod for our local brewers. Georgia had a pretty strong representation this year at GABF. Yes. I think we had 8 medals total, which I'm pretty sure is our best showing from our Georgia breweries. I know I'm going to miss somebody if I try and recite them from memory, but Cherry Street Brewing got a medal. We had Monday Night that got a medal. Silver Bluff, I believe. And
Silver Bluff did.
Rock Solid, I think. Yes. And who am I missing there? Stillfire got one.
Monday Night got one as well, I think.
Yeah.
So Creature Comforts, I think, got 2. I have
Creature.
The thing up.
That's right.
They got a wood and barrel aged strong beer, and they got, of course, the American Pilsner Gold for Classic City Lager. Awkward Brewing. I don't think we mentioned them.
That's right. Awkward. Yeah.
Belgian Fruit Beer for their East line of Creek. Silver Bluff got it for a Czech Pilsner. Stillfire got it for an American Style Lager. Cherry Street got it for that Coconut Porter. Rock Solid got it for Beauty is in the Rye of the Beholder, which is a rye beer. Monday Night Brewing got it for wood and barrel-aged sour beer, and they seem to get that a lot. Madrigal, I don't know that one. And Creature Comfort's other one was their 10th anniversary barley one, which I haven't had. And
good for them.
Yeah, so they did really
just well. Just had to give a shout out to our local boys there. Congratulations. Yep. But Brian, not everybody did okay at GABF or won at GABF. True. And we actually had one whole state that got shut out, right?
Yes. For the first time since 1995, no Arizona breweries scored a medal at the Great American Beer Festival Awards, even though their neighbor, New Mexico, got 3. Last year, 5 Arizona breweries took home 6 medals, which is pretty solid, This made me wonder how common it is for an entire state to get shut out. So I looked into it, and it's a little bit more common than you might expect. So here's the list of the shutouts this year. Alabama, Washington, D.C., Hawaii, Kansas, Kentucky, Louisiana, Maryland, Massachusetts, Mississippi, North Dakota, Rhode Island, and West Virginia. So all of those states did not place, but I think it's significant for Arizona in that they pretty consistently do win some awards. So I don't know. I can't speak to the other ones at all.
That's what I was going to say is, that was probably the case, is that the reason that was publicized is because they normally do. And look, y'all, I'm not talking about any of your states here when I say this, but you know what? Mississippi doesn't have a lot of beer, just being honest with you. There's a couple breweries there, and there's a couple breweries there that are good, but now at West Virginia, I don't think there's a ton going on in West Virginia. So, a couple of those aren't surprising just because of what they've got happening there, which, I guess that doesn't necessarily indicate you could have one brewery in the state. It could be the best brewery in the country, I guess. But that's true. A couple of those aren't really shockers.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yep, did you hear anything, Brian, about the changes in the format of GABF this year? I don't think I've seen any feedback from anybody I know that went.
I think that what I've seen so far from the people who attended is that it was mostly positive. I know that they had a few places. I think they had like a spooky section that was a little on the poor lighting side, and there were some complaints about that. But I think people actually kind of liked it. And I guess some of the changes were polarizing, but the people that write about it, which are the people I would have read their comments on it, it seemed positive. I haven't seen anything negative, but there could be you know, who knows? Who knows what the people on the floor had to say about it? But it's been positive so far.
Wouldn't you kind of think the spooky section would have dim lighting? Doesn't that kind of make sense?
Yeah, I think it was a little too dim, is what I've heard. I think there were a couple complaints about like minor aesthetic problems with it. Like it was dim enough that it was hard for some people to see properly and
Running
do
into
what they needed
stuff.
to do. So yeah, I don't remember what all there was. I think there was a Oktoberfest section and there's some other stuff. And I think in general it was, you know, pretty positive. I know that I
Okay.
read somebody just some people just have their list and they go hit their breweries and it doesn't really matter, you know, what's going on. They just go hit what they hit, you know. So I think it really depends on what you're into.
Again, if you go to GABF and you don't have a good time, it's probably on you. I
Probably.
mean, you know, with the cool thing going out there is you run into your buddies that maybe you talk to on the beer forums from across the country. You know, you meet new people, you get these breweries, you get a chat with the brewers and just really have a good time. So it's I was gonna say Disneyland, but what's something that's like Disneyland, but just an event thing. But anyhow, it's
Like a
it's
Six Flags or something like that.
no,
I don't
I'm
know.
just talking about like a one-time event rather than, you know, that I guess it's like the World Series of beer. I don't know. Terrible analogy there, but Super Bowl of beer? Nate, you're rolling your eyes at me.
Maybe
You got any
the
suggestions?
FIFA World Cup, but that happens
The
every 4
FIFA.
years.
Yeah.
The FIFA
Anyhow,
World
it's a
Cup of
cool
beer.
beer event there.
Yeah.
We'll just go with that. We'll leave it at that instead of trying to
It's
make
the Burning Man of beer, maybe.
that might be right.
Yeah.
I saw a couple guys there when I went that looked like they had been through a Burning Man festival.
Yeah.
I guess it's a lot of beer available. Well, Brian, collaborations, some are great, some are weird, some are both, but Coors has got a really interesting collaboration that they're doing.
Yeah, they've just announced that they are collaborating their Coors Banquet and with Wrangler jeans, and you're not going to be drinking this collaboration unless you've got a very powerful blender. It's because the collaboration is something called beer washed jeans, and I think you can probably predict where this is going. So it's like acid washed or stone washed jeans, only they do it with beer. But to be clear, they're not actually using Coors Banquet beer because they can sell that and they're not going to just waste it. They're using the leftover material from making Coors Banquet. The end result is a pair of jeans that looks, quote, antiqued, a little bit faded, and just so slightly golden. So that's pretty glowing. I'm not sure if I believe that, but I haven't seen pictures of them yet. Each pair also comes with a co-branded metal tag that's also a bottle opener, presumably stuck to the jeans themselves, and a patch kit for customization. You will not be able to buy these jeans, but you can enter to win them starting now, running through October 21st, which I believe is the Tuesday after this show drops. You can enter at beerwashjeans.com, or if that doesn't work for you, I think you can find a link to the entry on the molsoncoorsblog.com website. So I might enter.
Okay.
I don't know. This is pretty silly, but I don't. If they have my size, maybe.
I fall in, like I said, man, I enjoy beer stupidity. If it's harmless fun, you know, I still want the seance. I haven't checked in a couple days, but that Sam Adams seance kit that we talked about last week, I want that. It's really stupid and I need it, but I was not able to find it in stock. So no luck there. We've bought Miller Lite beer drops that they had.
Oh yeah,
You know, I have to keep an eye out because I think one of them does like a gingerbread beer bar or something. Brian has a bottle of the beer drops right there.
Yeah, still in the box. It's really dusty because I haven't used it. I dropped it in some beer one time, and it was like adding some weird beery maple syrup to
it was
beer. It was very unusual.
I wonder if they really thought it tasted good or if it was just for idiots like us who are going to order it. I mean, we drank Hormel chili beer. We've what else have we got? We've got all kinds of weird stuff before.
Did you do Nate drive up to Oscar Blues to pick up the mustard?
Yeah. So that's
did.
it. Did you do Nate went up there and he just happened to, the timing was good. He joined us for our Oktoberfest show and we got to try that. And that was it was much better than I expected. That's
wasn't bad.
The chili beer, I didn't want to drink that, but I'm like, all right, you guys nailed what you're going for. This is a beer that tastes like a can of Hormel chili. So props to you on that. The mustard beer was enjoyable. You know, it gave it a real clean, bright pop to it. Wasn't like drinking a jar of mustard or anything. So, you know, some of these crazy things can be fun. The cheer wine. The cheer wine beer was tasty.
The holiday cheer wine. Yeah. I'd imagine they're coming back with that. I think that's an annual thing, and I'll get it again if I come across it. Yep.
And just so everybody knows, none of these that we mentioned were Martin House beers. So
that's a good point.
Which may be surprising.
You know, and the thing is I hear really good things about a lot of their stuff. I think that they had the pickle beer, which was good. I hear good things about a lot of their wild stuff.
Martin House.
Yeah. I think that
didn't you get a few of their beers, Brian? I think our homie Randy Savage brought them up.
Yeah.
What's that, Nate?
Yeah, our patron supporter got us some.
Yeah, our friend of the show.
Did we not? Or we opened up one or two of them, didn't we, when we were doing the Oktoberfest show?
We
did. Or afterwards?
We did.
Now that you mentioned, I still think I've got some in the fridge there.
Yeah, there's like I want to say one of them was like a zombie Kool-Aid, something or other with a lot of fruit in it. They ended up being a lot of interesting fruited sours. It sounded more like cocktails than anything really wild, but there was a pickle one, and I drank that. And as I recall, I thought it was pretty good, you know? So they do good work. And I think that if we had greater exposure to them, we would probably enjoy some of their beers, but some of them I know would just be gross. Are they the ones that did the mayonnaise beer or something like that?
I don't know if they did. They did a buffalo wing and ranch one though.
That might be good.
So I know they've done that. So yeah, they're crazy. But you know, like you mentioned, we do have a few of our Patreon supporters that have mentioned on Discord that they're fans of what they do over there.
Yeah,
crazy stuff. Brian, the cold temperature, man, winter sports. Some people love it. I know a lot of people as we roll into this time of year with football season having kicked off. I think basketball season is kicking off soon. A lot of people love it, get excited for that. I do not. I don't care. Brian. I actually think I've offered up the entire sport of football to the old gods and the new if it will get rid of winter. But I haven't had that taken yet. But another cold weather sport, Brian, curling, which you were flabbergasted. I believe your gasted was flabbered.
Yes, when flabbered all over the place.
There is USA Curling, an association, and they've actually gotten an official beer now.
Yeah, they've got a collaboration going that was just announced with Dale's Pale Ale. It's now the official beer of USA Curling, and I think I knew that there was curling in the Olympics, and so there had to be a USA team, but I didn't think that it never occurred to me that I know it's big in Canada. It never occurred to me that there was enough of that going on here, and we had consistently enough cold up north. I guess we would have consistently enough cold temperatures for that, but I just didn't think that was a thing that was really we were into in the US, but we are apparently. So yeah, Dale's is making a significant investment in USA Curling and the sport in general because they see interest and opportunity there. Fans of curling can look forward to a strong Dale's presence at future events. And there are plans to work in some sort of a membership club or work with whatever exists already as a membership club and have some national championship promotions. So they've got all kinds of stuff they're going to be coming up with. And like I said, I didn't realize curling was a big enough thing here in the U.S. to pull off a sponsor as big as Oscar Blues. But congratulations all around. I think curling looks like fun. I could see anything you could sit there and do with a beer in your hand and just kind of hanging out, having a good time. I would rather. I think I would rather do that than what's the bag tossing one? Cornhole. There we go. Yeah. I think I would rather do curling if that were available at breweries than cornhole.
I haven't chatted with him in many years, but I had a buddy in Winnipeg, and he liked to give me grief because, you know, when the Thrashers left Atlanta, they became the Winnipeg Jets. So, you know, we would talk, one of my old cigar buddies. And so we'd chat back and forth on that. And it was around the Winter Olympics one time we were talking, and curling in Canada, it's a lot like we'd have bowling alleys here. It's like we have our weekly bowling leagues where really it's an excuse to get together with some buddies, have some beers, hang out, you know, do your weekly thing there. That is the way that it is in Canada. You know, pretty big recreational sport. And he was talking to me about the American Olympic team. He had curled. I don't. Is that the right term for curling? He
Could
But
be.
anyhow, he had curled with some of the guys on the American team, and he made the comment. He was a little snide about it. I don't think he meant it as rude, but he's like, these guys aren't even the best ones, you know, coming out to the weekly curling league thing. But he was pretty serious about it. He was one that regularly went. That's like Stephen P just mentioned that he's got knows a couple people that here in Atlanta, and I did know that we had a curling league in Atlanta because we have been invited to the championships in the past, Brian.
That's
We as
awesome.
in Beer
Oh,
Guys Radio. So,
okay.
you know, they do, I think they do a beer league kind of thing, or
Okay.
a beer competition. We'll have to look into it more as I'm assuming we're on the edge of curling season. So
Probably,
we'll have
yeah.
to check in, see what Atlanta's doing for curling
Well,
this
with
year. But
indoor
yeah,
refrigeration, you need ice for that sort of thing, right? I
yeah,
imagine, you know, if you could do skating rinks year round, you could, or ice
rinks
skating
year
rinks,
round.
you could
Sure enough.
probably do curling year round. So, yeah, the one of the quotes from the article said something to the effect of beer is the most sociable of drinks and curling is the most sociable of sports. So they kind of go together. And I'm like, you know what? I enjoyed drinking some beers, watching some hockey. I'd probably do the same with curling if I had a chance to. So
I picture a Canadian curling league, like your neighborhood curling league, to be like hanging out with the folks from Letterkenny. Would be kind of my thinking, you know,
Hmm.
just hanging out with the good. That would be fun. Going to Canada and just joining the weekly curling league, you know, popping a beer with them. That would be a fun time.
yeah, they kicked me out. It's like you're not drunk enough or you suck. We don't know which.
Right. You just have to throw a plaid shirt on. You already look like you're from the Great White North, Brian. So
True,
you could
true.
fit in. You could assimilate. Nate's already camouflaged, so he'll slide right in there.
They won't see him coming. He'll just sneak
Yeah.
across the
What was
border.
that? Did you guys see a head float by? Well,
That's
well,
funny.
Brian, before we move on, let's thank our sponsor, Truck and Tap.
Yeah, so the spookiest of all nights is coming up fast. So, of course, Truck and Tap is throwing a party. Saturday, October 26th is the Truck and Tap Halloween party, and it's going down at all the different locations. I believe it's 8 p.m., but you'll have to check on the website to be sure of that. In addition to great food and craft beer, you can look forward to cocktail specials, a costume contest with a cash prize, a DJ, and unspecified horrors. To find out how specifically horrific they are, you'll have to show up and just check it out yourself. It's going to be a frightfully good time, but let's get right down to it. Let's get down to my beer picks for the week. At Truck and Tap Woodstock, I'm making a beeline to the Raspberry Lemon Goza from Variant, mostly because I don't see Variant on tap outside of the brewery very often. And because you know it's going to be a spooky shade of red. And if I remember correctly, it might be a little chunky too. I don't know. It's a little thick, so it's going to be interesting. At the Duluth location, I have to try Aslan Gakozing. It's a gummy bear IPA, and I don't know if I said the name right, which it's reportedly big on hop and strawberry notes. And this is the right time of year for candy beers. So I'm going to just consider that a Halloween candy beer. At Truck and Tap Alpharetta, let's go with Scepter's Death Metal Font. It's a scary name for a not too scary sounding IPA, hazy IPA with Citra and Eldorado hops. I'm sure that's just lovely once you drink it. And finally, at the Lawrenceville location, I'm getting New Holland's Dragon's Milk Reserve S'mores. As the name implies, it's a bourbon barrel aged stout made with chocolate, marshmallow, and graham crackers. So s'mores aren't exactly Halloween candy, but it's close enough to it for me. And this is the time of year when you might make them. So it just sounds great. So I'm going with that. So there you have it. Make sure you check out the Truck and Tap website, truckandtap.com. For the latest about the upcoming Halloween party, double check all the details before you head out, as well as which beers are pouring and which food trucks will be there. And thank you to Truck and Tap for your support.
You know, s'mores and stout around a campfire sounds
Yes.
really great, to be honest with you. Like we could get our hot pokers out and roar it up.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah.
A little bit. It'd be a good time. Be a good time. Well, Brian, more news. Union talk has been strikes and union talk and all that has been extremely hot lately in the beer community. And AB InBev has got some more hot water with another union.
I think they've been flirting with a number of strikes recently.
Yeah.
But yeah, right now it's Elysian Brewing. They're owned by AB InBev. The workers there voted to strike as contract negotiations broke down. And from the sound of it, though, the workers aren't actually striking just yet. Workers from Elysian and AB InBev have been in talks for over a year about a new contract, and the workers are fed up. The union is accusing of AB InBev of using union-busting law firms to sabotage negotiations rather than negotiate in good faith. A spokesperson from Elysian Management said in a statement that didn't sound particularly worried that they were looking forward to returning to the bargaining table later this month, and that votes to strike are just commonplace during labor negotiations. So they're not worried at all, apparently. The union is giving them until October 25th to get the deal done. If they don't, I would assume that the strike will begin on the 26th or whenever the following Monday is. I think the 26th is a Friday, so I don't know if they'd be striking over the weekend, but that's where they're at.
Okay.
The last time it came to this, I don't remember where that was. I think they negotiated it out, and it never ended up being a strike. So if that's any indication, my guess is there won't be one here, but I have no idea. I have no inside information on that.
Yeah,
So,
and they do definitely move to strike sometimes, but I
yeah.
think that's part of the, hey, let's talk about this. They don't get anywhere. They're like, all right, guys, we'll strike. And then they're like, all right, come on,
Yeah.
part of the negotiation, the song and the dance there.
It's apparently been going on for a year. Now, I don't know if that's common or not, because I've not been in a union. If maybe they've been working on it, tentatively for a year, or maybe they've been trying to get it really hard and just hitting walls. It sounds like they're
Just
hitting
not
walls. And so they're like, the only way we can make this happen is if we just stop working and hold everything up. So we'll see. We'll see what happens.
And that is effective sometimes.
Yes,
So
can be.
absolutely. Absolutely. Well, Brian, some news came out about Tilray, and I think this is one that everybody should pay close attention to, because I think a lot of the big companies that acquire breweries think in this manner, but I don't think they're as open with stating it there.
Yes.
And so when we talk about big beer acquiring our breweries, and we even have more news on that after this story, but everybody has their opinion on it. And someone said when we first started seeing Tilray make some changes and make some layoffs, they're like, man, I thought they were the good guy, and basically meaning I thought these guys were going to get some craft breweries and keep them craft and all that. Tilray's a big corporation, and they're showing us that's exactly what they are. So with that said, take note. This is one of the things people talk about when they say they don't like their breweries, being acquired by big companies, and it concerns them. Brian, with that said, I'll turn it over to you for the details.
Yeah, so they're in the news again, according to Yahoo Finance, because they are tentatively but likely planning to consolidate their U.S. brewing facilities. And consolidation means there'll be less of them when they're done. In addition to whatever that might wind up looking like, CEO Erwin Simon says they are also making plans to reduce the number of beers in their portfolio for all of these properties, saying, and this is a quote, "If we have a pumpkin beer, we'll have a pumpkin beer, in flavors, similar flavors for Montauk or for Blue Point." And he went on to say, "We're not going to have all these multiple different formulas out there with a lot of complexity. We're looking at how to take the complexity out of our business. We're going to do some SKU rationalization." So from the sound of it, he said complexity, and I think what he really means there, or what he really means is craft. We're taking craft, which is kind of in some ways synonymous with complexity, out of their business. So from the sound of it, the reason for these considerations seems to be that the adjusted gross margin is 41% for their beverage alcohol division this year, which is down from 56% last year, despite that their revenue is actually has gone from 13% last year to 28% this year. So it's gone up 15%. I don't know if I'm saying that right. I don't know if that's actually a 15% increase, but it went from 13% to 28%. So that's a big jump. It also sounds like they do not plan for all of their brands to be nationwide, with the exception of Shock Top. They seem to think Shock Top is one that needs to be, and I think that is one that basically has been historically. Some other brands just don't sell well in some other regions. They have no tie to that region. For example, he specifically mentioned that Sweetwater doesn't apparently do well in Ohio and Illinois. And I mean, I can get it. They don't have no connection to Sweetwater. They don't know what it is. It's some Southern beer company. So, why would they get that over something that was brewed locally by people they know,
Absolutely.
So I get that.
And Brian, that was something we talked about, like with the Bevana plan, and talking about we're going to bundle all these things in and roll them out nationwide. Look, we've got our breweries that we absolutely love and we have emotional ties to. Just like they said with Sweetwater, Ohio and Illinois don't. They don't care.
Yep.
Well, we had the Sweetwater brewery that opened in Fort Collins. What did it last? How long was it? 6 months, Nate? I think you had mentioned it was something like 6 months there. So
it was pretty quick.
Yeah.
they go in there and you come to the brewery here in Atlanta. These guys own a city block. And if you go there on the weekend, it's packed out. That's Georgia's beer. That's Atlanta's beer. We got much love for that. But this article shows you that to Tilray, this isn't Sweetwater Brewery. This isn't Terrapin Brewery. This isn't all these other breweries. This is Tilray. And they don't care. So if you love, Terrapin's Moohoo Stout, they may decide that all right, we're rationalizing this SKU on out of here. So it's
I hate the idea
it's
of that.
concerning. It's concerning. And I think he's probably been a lot more transparent and honest. They usually bury it behind corporate speak, and all of them do the same thing. So worth noting, just pay attention to who owns your brewery. Keep supporting those local guys. I don't know. It's a catch-22, isn't it, Brian? Because they grow up big enough to be acquired.
That's right. Yeah.
Drink enough of your local beer, but not too much of your
Don't drink too
keep
much.
Them humble. You keep them humble.
That's right.
So make them feel like they're not worth selling out.
Does this mean that since they own Widmer, does this mean I'm probably not going to get Widmer Hefeweizen here? Or does it mean that Sweetwater is going to start brewing a clone of Widmer Hefeweizen, which might almost be acceptable?
No, Brian,
I don't know.
I think you have your answer here, don't you? So they're not gonna take everything nationwide, which I know when we started talking about it, we kind of thought that would mean that basically our Sweetwater tap room would become a 5 or 6 brewery tap room, but it looks like that's not necessarily the case.
Man,
and we did have, what was it, Montauk, Alpine,
yeah, Green
Sweetwater?
Flash and Alpine, or
Green Flash,
Green Flash, yeah.
We had for a while that we had 2 or 3 in there, and I really like that. I was really hope that was going to continue, and I'm concerned it won't. I'm not going to be excited if I go into Sweetwater and they have a couple of shock top taps on there.
What if it's the pretzel one?
Yeah, all right, I'll drink it.
Yeah, okay, fair enough.
But the rest of the year, I'm not going to care about it. I'm not drinking it.
That
maybe.
One beer. Other than that, never. No.
Yes.
Brian, related to this, and this was an interesting study, but it says that consumers don't like it when their local brewery is acquired.
Yeah. According to a study in the journal Marketing Science, local craft beer consumers lose loyalty when their favorite brands are acquired. And they show that displeasure to the situation through their spending habits. The study found that there is a 15% drop in baseline product demand following the acquisition of a specific craft beer brand by a larger company, especially if that larger company is considered quote unquote big business or big beer. Consumers form an emotional connection with their favorite brands and often see the brand as an extension of themselves. When the brand is acquired, that breaks the sense of ownership and identity the customer has with the brand. And in addition to those lost sales, product ratings are seen to drop also following an acquisition, even if the product itself doesn't really change. People just aren't going to love it, and they're going to see flaws in it that they wouldn't have seen before. So the silver lining to the study is that other beer brands out there that are still local, that haven't been acquired, they stand to benefit from the situation, because the people who have, lost love for the brewery that got bought out, they're looking for someplace else to get their beer. So they're going to go to their, another local brewery potentially and spend their money there. So yeah, it's an interesting study. I find it fascinating that people kind of identify with beer and it becomes part of their identity. And so when you mess with that, you can go from loving it to just hating it, So that's And I
Yep.
guess maybe we saw a little of that with Bud Light of a year or two ago, whenever that crazy thing happened. Kind of it
The
wasn't bought out,
brand
but
loyalty.
they violated people's sense of identity with the brand, and the backlash was strong.
It
So
was,
yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah.
And Brian, I saw the story shared on Facebook, and there were a lot of people in the craft community, in the business side of craft, that were saying, no kidding, thanks, Captain Obvious, this and that. And I know from within the industry that it seems totally obvious that people
Yes.
lose that. But again, where there's not a lot of people that sit around listening to a bunch of dudes talk about beer. There's not a lot of people into beer that are on forums and discussions and all that. There are a lot of people that just like to drink beer. And they'll get attached to their local brewery. A great example, I live in Woodstock, Georgia, and we've got a local brewery here, Reformation. Anybody who drinks beer in Woodstock is so loyal to Reformation, and there's a good chance they don't even know what any other craft beer is. It's just Woodstock's beer. It's the local community beer. If they were to sell out, it would alienate a lot of people because they identify with them as that's my brewery. They're part of the community in that. But a lot of people don't have any idea who owns the brewery. So to do this kind of study and to validate, yeah, people do care, other than the 14 guys in your local forum that are throwing a fit about it. I think it was worth studying, and I think it's pretty notable to say that, yeah, it definitely does have an impact. People do care about this.
I think the most important thing about the study is the one number that I saw in it. There is a 15% drop in baseline product demand. We have a number you can tie to what it's going to cost your brand to sell out. And
Right.
if you're selling it, you may not care very much, but if you're
Mhm.
buying it, you need to keep in mind that whatever they're selling at right now, there's a good chance that you're going to lose 15% of the demand for that beer right out of the gate as soon as they find out that you're selling it, unless you can somehow convince them that you're not the enemy and that you know
Right.
yeah, you're like, if you were from the community, you bought it from another guy who was retiring, I think that would be a different story than if you swoop in like Tilray and say, hey, we're buying this now. They're looking to get out, and it's going to be different.
Right.
And
When we see something like the brewery, I forgot already from last week, Brian, the acquisition that we had, it was,
oh yeah, oh
but anyhow, something like that. You've got two craft breweries coming together to make another. I don't think that alienates people like that when you're talking something like that. It is, again, kind of like you said, when they perceive it as big business or big beer, then it definitely makes a difference there to people. And Brian, I think there's also layers to
yes.
that. Yes, Brian.
I was gonna say it was Night Shift. I had to
Right.
go pull up the run of show from
Yeah.
last week. I was like, it was on the tip of my tongue. Yeah, Hendler Family Brewing, which is Wormtown, and who else was that? Oh, geez, I can't. Let's see.
Yeah, because I
It's in
think there's another,
Massachusetts, so it's not a brewery we cross paths with a lot. So
but
yeah,
another big
Jack's
brewery
Abbey.
kind of.
There's the other one. So
There we
Jack's
go.
Abbey,
There we
Wormtown,
go.
and now Night Shift all together. So I think that that's a different thing. Again, it's the family brewing, and it's all Massachusetts, so it is a larger thing, but they are breweries coming together, and they're staying there. They're still from the area. They're not big beer yet, even though they're
Yeah.
the biggest name in Massachusetts right now for producing beer. I think they'll do okay. I think that you're going
Sure.
to run into real problems at Tilray, and that's just going to push them to consolidate and shrink and reduce everything even more. So it's kind of a cycle that feeds on itself, biting its own tail or whatever, a downward spiral of you're going to alienate your local fans, which is going to drive your the money you're bringing in, which is going to drive you to reduce your costs, which is going to make
Yeah.
you cut staff and cut product and cut lines and cheapen things up, which is going to further alienate people. And it's just kind of like, yeah, I really hope
Alienation.
I hope they don't go that route. I don't wish ill on them at all. I'm concerned. I really am for the fate of all the breweries they own right now and all the beers I love that they own. So
Yeah. Yeah. And when you talk about a 15% drop in the baseline product demand there, a lot of them acquired do talk about, well, they'll expand their distribution, being part of
yeah,
this. But Tilray addresses that too. There may be places they're just like, it's just not worth distributing them. maybe Georgia is the place. Tilray owns a Georgia brewery now. And, there's different levels to it as well, Brian, because these breweries that we're talking about, Terrapin's a great example. We know the owner. We know the founder of Terrapin.
Yep.
We know, they were our sponsor, the Terrapin ATL Brew Lab for a couple of solid years there. And we know all of the folks that work there, brewing the beer and making it. So I continued really supporting the people rather than the brand there. I need to support these because I want these guys to keep their jobs, man. So, I want them to do well there. So there's a lot of layers to it. So many layers. It's a complex situation.
It's like onion or whatever.
It is.
Is that the Shrek thing?
Peel back a layer there. Peel it back. Good stuff. Well, y'all, that about wraps it up. Brian, you got anything else? Nate, you got anything you want to say? Anything you want to get off your chest there?
Nope, I'm good.
All right.
Well, camouflage, just like rip it off, No?
Just tear it off there. Want us to find you some Chippendales music or something, Nate? And so if you're not watching the video stream right now, you are missing out.
You are missing so much
out. But y'all, if you are listening to the show early Saturday morning and you're like, what am I going to do today? And you're with a short flight or drive of Marietta, Georgia, come and join us for our pinball tournament and collaboration fest beer release with Schoolhouse Brewing in Marietta. We would love to see you. We'll have Beer Guy swag there. We're going to have some hats and t-shirts and stickers and whatever else we've got in the swag box. I don't even know what all we've got these days. Pens, I think. So you can take a clipping from Brian's beard. That's something we do on our in-person events there.
Hang on a second.
Brian, I got this covered, Brian. No input needed. It's fine. So no, but y'all come on out. It's gonna be a good time for St. Jude. All the proceeds benefit St. Jude. Raffling off Yeti cooler, Bose earbuds, and some meat thermometers, wireless meat thermometers for smoking your meat.
I don't know if they're the Bose Sport headphones, but I love those, and I wear.
I'm not sure, Brian.
The ones I have, I use all the time. Anytime I'm going for a walk or whatever, running around, love them. So you want to win those. You want to show up so you can get those.
Well, I will tell you something. So here's a little something. These prizes will be delivered directly to the winner's house. And as long as the price isn't ridiculous, Brian, even if the sport ones are not the ones that I picked out to showcase, you might still be able to get them. So we may have a little flexibility. You'll get to choose the color of your Yeti cooler, so you don't have to just take whatever the heck we throw at you there. So we want to give you options. It's going to be a good time. So y'all, we hope that you all have a really good week. Play some pinball, and don't forget to drink local. Cheers.
This is a good size can for the show. I still have some left.
This is one show's worth of beer.
It's only 4.2% either. I feel like a lush drinking out of a stovepipe, but hey, 4.2%, no big deal.
Don't let your dreams be dreams, man.
Yeah.
You just can't do it. We are going to wrap up the live stream. Thank you so much for hanging out with us. If you are a Patreon supporter, we are going to post the link over in Discord. You can join us for the after party. But y'all have a good one, and we'll see you next week.